Alrighty, I'm about to show everybody how I wash my cast iron. This one's already been scrubbed out, so that's not going to take as long. You get this Brillo pad, scrub it real hard. It's hot, I need to turn the hot water down a little bit. I scrub it as hard as I can, get all those big hard chunks off of it. I think I got all the hard chunks off of it. I just give it a slight rinse. Look at it, make sure all of it's gone. If it is, then I use the rag. And this is the part where people get mad at me. People think that you should not wash your cast iron. But I'm here to say, I'm washing my cast iron. I'm rinsing the rag out real good first. I should have rinsed it before the video, but I didn't think about it. So, I got the warm water going. It's not too hot. Put a little bit of soap in there. And people get really mad about that. Like really mad about people using soap. So now, wash it down with this soap real good. I'm gonna turn the water off now. Some of that grease on the outside a little bit, so I'm gonna wash the outside. Alright, now that that's done, you notice I didn't use a lot of soap. I don't have to use a lot of soap because I still want it to keep it seasoned. I don't want to have to re-season it. Rinse that soap out real good. You don't want to leave any soap behind. Now, and I got the water just a tad bit hotter than what it was whenever I was running it in and scrubbing it out. I want to make sure and get all that soap out. A lot of people's going to say, don't wash your cast iron, it messes it up. Well, it's never messed up my cast iron, and I don't want my cast iron to be nasty. I just feel like that's going to make you sick. A lot of the older people will say not to wash their cast iron simply because it messes them up and everything else, but times have changed. A lot of things that people did back in the days have changed. A lot of the old stuff was better. I'm not saying it wasn't, but there was also a lot of old stuff that was not better. A lot of that older stuff was changed for a reason. Like the simple fact that you need to clean your dishes. You need to take a bath more than once a week. You need to take a bath more than once every 6 months. It was all changed for a reason. But I just dried off the bottom of the cast iron pan, and I'm about to put it on the stove. So now it's on the stove, which is nasty, and I need to clean it too. Put it on high. Just put it on there good. Throw that in the trash. Get another paper towel. Should have had all this stuff sitting up and ready to use. I didn't know. I'm gonna run through here real fast. Help dry it. And it's not rust, it's just some grease that's dried to it. Gonna get that good and dry. There's something on the eye smoking. Well, I gotta go over here and get the oil. I just use regular vegetable oil. And I wait for that to get good and hot, make sure all the water's evaporated out of it. And then I'm gonna coat it in this oil. Just gonna dump some in there. I'm gonna take a paper towel, rub it around, get it good and caked on there. And once it sits there and cools down a little bit, I'll probably let it sit there probably 15-20 minutes after doing this, and it should be cool. I'll see if it is. If it's not, I'll come back another 15-20 minutes later and I'll check. But once it gets completely cool, then I'll do a really light coat on the outside, since I did wash it too, because when I was pouring out the grease, a lot of that stuff got on the outside. And this is a fairly new pan, so it's still got some of its new look to it. This is going to be the first time it's been washed. Well, actually the second time, because when I first bought it, I washed it. I scrubbed it really good, then I done a whole seasoning. Basically, after I done all that, after I washed it, dried it, I coated it thick in oil, put it in the oven upside down on a piece of tin foil at 400 degrees for 1 hour. Then I let it just cool off by itself. Just let it sit in there and cool off by itself, and by the next day it was seasoned. All right, I think that's been long enough. I'll turn that off. If I dump too much, I'll just wipe it out with a paper towel. Dump that in there. Haven't got hot there yet, so I'm going to move it to this side. This is easier to do with two hands. And again, you don't have to do it the way I do it, but this is just what I prefer. And it's easy to get burned while doing this, so that's why I like using two hands instead of one. And I'm not telling you this is how you should do it. This is how I do it, and it works for me. I just rub that in there real good. Ooh, that's hot. That hot oil's starting to come to my fingers. And all that extra stuff, I'll just leave that in there until it's cooled down. And that's whenever I'll dump it out. And I'm not going to leave this rag in here until it cools down. I'm just sitting it there because it was kind of warm, and it's kind of hard to stick it in the trash can when the trash can's got a lid on it while I'm holding a phone, and it's hot too. So after I get done making the video, I'll put it in the trash can. But now I'm going to let that cool off to room temperature, however long it takes. Sometimes it takes a little longer depending on how hot it got, but I'll come back in about 20 minutes and check then, and if it's cooled off enough, I'll wipe any excess oil out of there, and I'll use another napkin to kind of do a light coat on the outside, since I washed that too.